Good afternoon, good evening. Apologies again, my hair. It's 2 days. It's 2 streams in a row today. My hair it's fine, but I've got the fans everywhere and it just blows my hair away. Ignore that intro. Big up, welcome Staffy to the channel. Welcome debut to the Purge TV. How you doing, mate? Welcome along.
Good, mate. Good. Thanks for having me.
No, always welcome. Always welcome. Guys in the chat. First things first, likes. Let's get some likes in here. Everyone, if you're new to the channel, let's subscribe and go and subscribe to Staffy. We will be going over to his channel straight after this hour, and we'll be doing another discussion with a few other guests as well. So, let's break it down. Let's just firstly, before we do anything, let's just see who's in the chat. Big up to the Twitch army, to F1 2012 is best. Big up to you, mate, over on Twitch. Just to go, Kate, who loves Spurs. Big up to you. Strasbourg Stieg, my guy. This man knows absolutely everything about football from every continent and every team in the world. Gary Joseph, see any real football in Barcelona? Yeah. I mean, I watched Barcelona Spurs recently. I go and watch Espanyol, who got relegated. So I don't know if you want to call that real football. I mean, it's good. It's good out there, though. Football out here in Barcelona is lovely. Who else we got? We've got Shemtan. Hey, Perch, can you chat to Fatty and tell him to come instead of the scum? Yeah, I don't think Ansu Fati's coming to Tottenham. I will be honest with you. Who else we got? Højbjerg, get in there. Let's go. Big up to you, mate. Big up to you. Yeah, big up Kate. Big up David. Welcome to the channel today. Hit the bar. Afternoon, Perchy. Feeling good about the game tomorrow. Big boss Basum is going to destroy their midfield. We're going to delve straight into that. Mark Cook, big up everyone. Yeah, big up to you, Mark. Hope you're well. We've got Pete Shaw in the house. Let's get some likes in, guys and girls. This dude is exactly. This dude is doing a stream while on holiday. I'm not on holiday. I live in Spain. I mean, I'm not. I do live out in. I mean, if you want to, yeah, smash the likes, of course. But I do live out in Barcelona, so it's technically home for me. It is, of course, home. Big up Alpinda. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, big up David. And finally, big up Russ. Oh, big up. Okay, let's delve straight into it. Let's talk about the weekend first of all. Like the weekend just passed. Tottenham 2, Brentford 2. I thought we were decent away from home. I thought it was a game of football where Spurs showed a problem in the final third, which was understandable. That we couldn't seem to break Brentford down. Probably a game we could have won in the end of it. But yeah, what were your thoughts on Spurs against Brentford on last weekend?
Compared to the last 2-3 years, and it's funny when I mentioned those last 2-3 years for Spurs fans, it just brings back too much trauma. You know, it's like no one wants to remember these years. You guys just want to erase them from your memory. But you guys
call it last 4 for me. I mean, yeah, at least we're starting to play some football, you know.
It was just horrendous football, you know, from Jose Mourinho to Antonio Conte, you know. And now you got a manager who actually wants to play football on the pitch, who wants to be attractive and have a style and attractive brand of football, you know. So it was very easy on the eye to watch, I'll tell you that. So the game was definitely entertaining as a neutral. Spurs looked a lot better. You did mention something that you were lacking in the final third, which was very obvious. Unfortunately, Richarlison was very non-existent.
Richarlison, Son, and I think all 3 of them were awful.
Yeah, they were just nowhere to be seen, but the midfield looked very good. And the defense, you know, the back line, you can look at the back line and you're like, there's some questions to be raised there. I doubt this back line is going to all 4 of them. I mean, like, not all 4 of them, but some of the back 4 won't really be here in the future. As that's what I believe. You know,
I think if you look at use our back 4 as an example, I think probably 2 of the 5, if you count the goalkeeper,
are new.
2 of the 5 probably won't be there. I mean, in the sense of if we count it post substitution, obviously Romero went off early. For me, Emerson's not good enough. Sanchez isn't good enough, but I like Adoji. I think he's brilliant at left back. I think he's what a signing we got in him. I think Van der Ven, another one I'm really going to be impressed with. I think he's going to start doing something. And I think even with the goalkeeper, I think he gets a lot of bad stick, but I thought he weren't that bad. I think he seemingly was the one that gets a lot of stick unnecessary. But I think if you go and use Romero, go and get in a better right back now. Go and spend good money on a right back. I think you've got a solid back 5 again, as you count the goalkeeper.
I know.
And then moving forward, what you want to do is buy more squad depth that's better. But yeah, no, I think with Spurs, I think we are where we are. I think we know where we are. I think let's talk about your boys. Beat Wolves 1-0, seemingly rather unconvincing. I use the term ordinary. I'd like to know your thoughts, if that was a fair definition of Man United against Wolves. I thought you guys looked ordinary. I didn't think you were terribly awful, because I think people use the term of, oh, Man United were crap or awful and all this lot. And I went, well, no, I wouldn't put in that. But there was no spark. Do you know, like, Man United teams are plus. There's a spark about them. It's something you can't quantify or define. But for me, it was like you just wanted someone to. You miss, like, I'm trying to think of like the right player. Someone to grab players by the scruff of the neck. A Roy Keane that would just be like, "Come on, guys, wake up here! What are we doing here? We're Man United."
No, I
know.
Be
all over these, and let's be frank. Anyone that tells me that wasn't a penalty at the end is in cuckoo land, in my opinion. Staffy, you're not going to tell me right now, mate, that wasn't a penalty.
I currently live in cuckoo land, so.
Do you think that wasn't a penalty?
No, I'll tell you what. I didn't think it was a penalty because of the consistency of the decision making. So, for my argument, basically, is that they never give these in the Premier League, and I've used a few examples, including actually Wolves of last season, where the same instance happened. The attacker won the ball. Jose Sa clattered him. He actually hit him in the face with his palm. And VAR checked it, and they said no penalty. Even in the Spurs game, when Vicario came out to collect the ball, and
massive difference, though, in my opinion.
It is a little bit different. I get what you're saying, but just the whole idea, I feel like the goalkeepers usually get the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that was my reasoning for not giving it. If that how's the rules set, you know what I mean? Then how can I say this one is a penalty? You know, I feel like it was over highlighted because it's Onana and Man United.
Is it over highlighted? I think that's not fair. I don't. Oh, come on. I think you're way off it. For me, if I look at it, let's look at two examples, and we use our teams as a great example of it. Son his foul gets drawn against what's his name? I've forgotten the guy's name.
But I know what you're talking
about. Who it was? He gives away a penalty for minimal contact. I said at the time, by the way, it is a penalty. He's not got the ball, and he's got the man.
I think it was, actually.
No,
I thought it was very harsh.
In fact, it's soft. I'll grant it's a soft penalty, but it's a Stonewall penalty.
Yeah, no, but you know what? He hit his foot. I think it was his pivot, and then the way he reacted and fell, it didn't look organic. Like it's it's like if I pushed you and then you fell backwards. How can you fall backwards if I put? You know what I'm saying? He kicked his foot, his pivot. And then the way he fell he just looked like he was trying to sell it. He didn't look like he actually fell because he kicked him in the foot. And it was minimal contact. This is a contact sport. I think a lot of people forget it is a contact sport, and like not everything can be given as a foul like that. He tried to genuinely win the ball. He kind of scraped his leg like that, his foot. Didn't really look malicious. Didn't look like he was trying to foul him. It didn't look like he actually fell because of the contact. He looked like he sold it. And they still gave the penalty. It just didn't make sense to me. So the refereeing decisions haven't been the best this week.
I think we can agree to disagree on that one. But I think for me, I said at the time, I said it was a penalty. I said it was soft. But I said the rules in the game are, if you don't make contact with the ball, you give the referee to make a decision. I think if it was given the other way, I think no one complains. Listen, if it was down the other end, Tottenham fans are going crazy. That's a penalty. If that's not given. So you have to I try and flip it. For me, I thought the Onana one has to be given as a penalty, though. I think both are. I think both are penalties. I think if you look back, I get your point, but I just sit back and go, if that was down the other end, if that was Jose Sa on, I'm just chucking a name out. If that was Jose Sa on Varane in the other end from a corner, you'd be going, we've been rolled. We should have had a penalty.
Probably.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, probably.
So that I always try to, and I try to be as fair as I can. When I discuss stuff like this, is I take Tottenham out of it. I take my team out of the equation and go, if that happened anywhere else, if that happened to my team, vice versa, or the opposite decision to the other team, what would I say? For me, if that happened to let's say, Son down the other end of the pitch, yes, minimal contact, but for me, it's a penalty. And for me, the other one is if that is Flecken, the Brentford goalkeeper, clattering Richarlison or whatever, I sit there and it's got to be a penalty, right? Listen, I think that's a fair bet. But what are your thoughts on the game? Let's talk about what your thoughts are of the game tomorrow. Now, where are you seeing? And it's going to be kickoff is going to be about 24 hours from now. So 24 hours before the game, tell me, where do you see it being going? Win and losing for Man United, Staffy, mate?
I think we'll lose the game if we don't figure out a way to play that midfield a little bit closer to each other. Excuse me. The obvious issue that you saw in the Wolves game is that the lines between the midfielders that we have in that midfield, Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount, they were just too far away from each other. So every time we lost the ball up front, Casemiro and the three that we have in the back, and when I say three, it's because Wan-Bissaka plays a lot more advanced on the pitch right now as compared to Luke Shaw, who kind of inverts as a third center back. When you see the lines, that we were too expensive, not in a good way. Every time we lost the ball, we looked very exposed in the back. And the way Wolves were coming at us, they were very organized. Every time they won the ball, you saw a lot of players coming at our defenders, in large numbers. And to be honest, they look like the fitter team against us. They had a bunch of athletes in the midfield, let's just say. So so they ran that midfield crazy every time they won the ball. However, when I look at the Spurs game, I think you guys have a better midfield, obviously, than Wolves. But I don't look at your midfield as the same way I look at Wolves, where they were very compact. They surrounded Casemiro to cut off all the passing lanes. You guys don't have the same profiles, except Bissouma. Bissouma is obviously an athlete.
Yeah.
But when I look at Maddison, when I look at Skip, they don't have that physical presence that I saw from the Wolves midfield. So I think you guys are going to approach the game in a different way, where you're trying to play football rather than, just trying to, stay back a little bit against us and let us do our own thing so you can nick the ball off us and then hit us on the counter. That's not going to happen at all. You will try to impose your style of play. And if we try to go midfield versus midfield, I think your midfield is better. However, when I watched you guys, you played such a high line that usually plays in our favor. For the past few years, with whatever manager we had, we've always been a good team on the transition. And we've actually been trying to play on the transition. So when I saw your high line, I'm just imagining, Rashford on Emerson Royale, and then we get the ball. Bruno tries to find him with a diagonal ball. Rashford makes that run, cutting into central positions. Going one-on-one. I've just seen the scenario so much. So I think if you guys play us that high up, you have to be very careful, and you have to be very good on the ball, because if you do lose the ball, you do know that we have more than one weapon to transition quickly and be a threat on your goal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if I was Ten Hag in the dressing room before kickoff, going attack him on the left hand side, double up on the left hand side. Royale isn't a good defender. Let's be honest, Royale is not a good defender. Let's double up on him and let's make him make a decision. I think that's if I was Tottenham, that's what I would be doing. So if I was Man United, that's what I would be doing against him, and going, make him make a mistake. Listen, whether or not Romero is going to be there or if it's going to be Sanchez, that right-hand side is going to be really vulnerable for Tottenham. And I agree. Press on your left-hand side is where you win the game of football for me. Tottenham have to find a way. Does it mean that what I think might happen, and my theory is he might bring in Pape Sarr, bring Pape Sarr into the three over Skip, and tell him, look, I want you supporting on that right-hand side. If they press on it, you break the press on that right-hand side and try and break up play a bit more. I think he's a bit better defensively than Oliver Skip. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting game. I think Tottenham have all the qualities to win the game of football. That's not me being biased. I think we have all the qualities to win the game of football because of the way that we're going to play. The way we're going to play, it's unpredictable, and it's going to give you guys a chance to concede goals. We're going to score goals. The problem is we're also going to concede a lot of goals. So it goes swings and roundabouts, right? I think that's a fair point. It's one of those weird games of football that could end up winning. One team wins it 4-3. Like it's for. I always say Tottenham are going to be one of those teams that the neutrals are going to love watching because it'll be a good game of football whether you like it or not. Tottenham are going to be entertaining in that sense. For me, it's all going to go down to can Spurs get a clean sheet? I don't think we are at the moment at that level. We're going to concede goals. But
I agree.
For me, it's that front three that's the real question mark. They need to get goals. There's no excuse against Man United. I think they're going to rather play Man United than play Brentford in the way that Brentford play football. Brentford sat with very deep, low block, went, go and break us down. So, yeah, I think that's going to be the interesting one. Before we carry on, let's just get some. Has anyone got? Let's see what comments are going. Comments are going wild.
There's a couple questions. Yeah,
there's a loads of. Yeah, big up Hoybier. Hope you're well. Yeah, last 5 years of fossil football. Brighton have reportedly put in a price tag of 120 million euros for Evan Ferguson. Yeah, I think Ferguson's going to be the one, and we'll get on that. I'll ask you, Safi. I think if Haaland ever leaves Man City, Evan Ferguson's the replacement, right?
Yeah, but when is Haaland going to leave City? That just to me, I picture that happening in a few years.
From what I've read, and listen, this is just reports. There's no, I'm not in the know. I'm not one of these ITKs like everyone likes to call people. But I did read that Haaland has a release clause of over 200 million euros at Man City at the start of next season. I could be completely way off, by the way, completely way off. But if they ever sell Haaland, because I think Haaland's going to end up at Real Madrid at some point. I think he's that good. He's going to want to break. He's going to be one of those players that wants to go and win every trophy like known that he can in the like sort of best leagues. I could see him going to. Do you know what? I have a funny feeling that Haaland's going to be one of those players that has a career very similar to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, where he will be what they call a journeyman, where he'll stay at 2 years at a club and then move on, then move to Real Madrid, then move to maybe, I don't know, Inter Milan, and then move to. Do you know what I mean? Do you sort of get that? I have that feeling with him that
he's going to be a journeyman. Yeah, I know.
He's going to be a journeyman, but he's going to be one of those journeymans that wins everything. Like he'll be sat there with an absolute list of trophies from all different leagues, all sort of nations and stuff where he's on. Which, listen, some people do it. Some people sit it out. Listen, if he stays at Manchester City, he's going to break Shearer's record. And then all the people that had a go at me when I said about Kane doesn't care about the record, look a little bit silly when he brought. There's a part of me that kind of wants him to break Shearer's record just to prove me being right. Yeah. Like I love that. Just to say I was right. That when everyone told me that the breaking Shearer's record is more important than winning in the Bundesliga, I'm going to ask you that question, and this is the last time, and I'm going to put this to my chat. If I mention Harry Kane again from this moment, I have to put my super chat into my own thing. That's a deal, because that's not. I think I have to donate something if I do, because I said I wouldn't do it, and I keep talking about it. I'd like to get your thoughts on the Harry Kane thing, because when everyone tells me that the Bundesliga is a one team league, and it's a bit of a tin pot trophy winning the Bundesliga. Is that a massive discredit to a competition that has one of the greatest teams in it in Bayern Munich in the world? I think it's a disservice. And when people say that breaking Shearer's records a bigger achievement, it can't be right.
I don't like the discredit of the Bundesliga trophy. You know, winning a league anywhere in the top 5 leagues is still an achievement. Yes, I understand Bayern do almost win it every year. They've won it like 10 in a row, 11 in a row, something like that. But you know, you kind of like when you're Harry Kane, you're in a lose-lose situation, because if he stays to break the record, people are like, look, he's unambitious. He doesn't want to win trophies. He goes to win trophies. People are like, oh, it's a tin pot trophy. Yeah, he should have stayed for the record. So it's like he's getting it's like one of those situations, you know, lose anyways. You know, damn if you do, damn if you don't. So But if you're trying to ask me for my opinion, I think in isolation, when you take away everything, in isolation, if you just think of this question like that, forget Harry Kane, forget everyone. What's better, being a top goal scorer of a league or winning the league trophy once? When you look at it that way, obviously you will be more remembered if you're a record holder. But in Harry Kane's situation, I think he needed to leave anyways. He needed to go win something so
Yeah,
people can stop abusing him. And listen, he might come back and break that record anyways. He's not that far off, you know. So he still has a
he
few
could, of
years in his
course.
career.
Of course, he could do. I think in isolation, I just sit back and go. There's the parameters between winning breaking a record and winning a trophy has two different parameters. Winning a trophy never goes away. If Harry Kane won the Premier League with Tottenham, just hypothetically, it didn't happen. My point being is that stays on the record books forever.
You can look at it that way, yeah.
Harry Kane scoring the most goals in the Premier League. By the way, if people want to know their history, he would not have broken Shearer's record if he beats that. Shearer played before 92 and scored goals when it was just before it became the Premier League. So the Premier League record's a little bit askew. He'd be nowhere near winning the first division like goal scorers, and that's the key one. But all it takes is someone like an Erling Haaland. I did the math. If Erling Haaland keeps scoring at the rate he's scoring at, he'll break the record in, I think it was 5 years. No, 6 years. Sorry, 6 years.
Well, we'll see how he does without De Bruyne.
By 29, Erling Haaland, if he stayed at Man City for 6 years, if it stays at this going rate of scoring goals, will break the record in 6 years. I did the maths. We've got a few questions to you, mate. We've got questions about Pinder. Oh, we'll come to this very shortly, mate. We'll do this. I have started it, and we'll come to this very shortly because it is on my segment of things we're going to talk about. So we'll talk about the lineups very, very shortly. Mark Cook, big up, Mark. Hope you're well. Staffy, what do you think of Mount signing? Is it a case of time or having the right players around him? Is him getting better? I'm assuming that is.
I wasn't a fan of the Mount signing. I didn't think he was the right profile. I don't think he's the player that we should have went for. My main concern before we even signed him, when we were just linked with him, is that how does that midfield work? That midfield to me seems very unbalanced. There's no ball retention in that midfield. You know, all three players in that midfield are not the best passers in the world. I think people will mistake Bruno's creation ability, so his chance creation, with passing ability, because you could create chances, but it doesn't mean that you keep the ball well during the game. You know, same for De Bruyne. When you watch De Bruyne creates a lot of chances, but he's not the number one man in that midfield that, you know, keeps the ball and passes the ball safely and moves the ball around. You know, that's more of a Rodri or Gundogan when he was there. So that midfield, I think, created an imbalance. We had Eriksen playing deep last season. He was like a second six next to Casemiro. He was progressing the ball because that's one of Casemiro's flaws. So Casemiro had to share the duties with him, which made him better. I think when Casemiro doesn't have to do too much ball work, he doesn't look as bad as he did at the Wolves game. But we removed Eriksen and we basically put Mount, who's playing much higher up the pitch. He is kind of like hugging the left winger and the striker in terms of positioning. So his average positioning is very, very high up the pitch. It's in the final third, basically. So that kind of leaves Casemiro much more isolated and created an imbalance. So maybe Mount as a player, I mean, I don't really rate him that high, but maybe in a different team, I think he would have worked better. But as of now, until I see a difference.
Can he offer something for Man United, though? He's been given number 7. He's been given that iconic number, by the way.
Don't remind
me. The number 7.
Can
he do something?
Of course he can, but I just don't think this midfield with these three individuals is going to work. He definitely could have a part in the team. I don't think we have to persist with him as a starter if it doesn't work. I'm not going to overreact too much. I mean, when people tell me it's just one game, by the way, I've been saying, for anyone who watches my content, I've said that before he even put a shirt on. You know, before he even signed the contract, I've been saying that. So people who tell me it's just one game, don't be reactionary. I said it before he even kicked the ball. So this has been my opinion all along. Me watching preseason and in real game just solidifies what I said. But I am giving him a chance because I want to see what this manager could do with this midfield, because I think so far it created an imbalance. My solution to it was that we need a player somewhere in the pitch that inverts into the midfield, and that way you know how last season City had Stones inverting into midfield, and now you had a midfield of Rodri, Stones, De Bruyne, and Gundogan. That created a four-man midfield. I think we need to find a way to invert a player into midfield that would either be a false nine or it would be a fullback. Unfortunately, we don't have fullbacks that can invert into midfield because Wan-Bissaka and Delo are not good enough to do that job. Our only hope is to have a false nine, because the only two that could do a false nine is Sancho and Martial. Martial's never injured. Sancho hasn't really had the best time at United, and we just brought a real number 9. So I don't think we're gonna go for a false 9 when we just signed Højlund for about 70 million. So there's a lot of questions to be answered here. I gave my opinion, but I'm just gonna wait and see what the manager does. Can Mount have a role? Yes, but does it have to be a starting role every game? I don't think so. No.
I think that's absolutely fair. I just want to address this for you. Is Staffy a United fan or an Arsenal fan? He's a Man United fan, but never seen someone have Arsenal. The Arsenal, if I'm right in saying, Staffy, you're going to... The picture is, if I'm right in saying, this is the guard of honor Matt Arsenal had to do for Van Persie, right?
Yeah,
this is the guard of honor
in the middle.
Yeah. So F1, that I think, yeah, but where you were sitting, I think you couldn't see the Van Persie.
I was like kind of hiding it.
I think you were hiding the Van Persie, but yeah, no. If I'm right in saying that's the guard of honor, it's the absolute irony of it all. Yeah,
big up. We've got honor, yes.
Yeah, no, it is. We've got a few more questions. I'll start up quickly. This one's from Gary Joseph. Yeah, I'm assuming this is for me. I'm assuming. Do you reckon Jed Spencer's going to get an opportunity season? No, I don't think so. If he did, why did he not play? He barely played any minutes. He came on and had a bit part position at right wing against Barcelona. Nah, I think he's gone on loan. He'll be one that gets sent out on loan, in my opinion. Ruti2, big up, big support of the channel. How many chances should Richie get if he doesn't perform tomorrow? I've said he should get 5 games. I've said, I think all along, 5 games is a good barometer to judge a player on. If he doesn't score in 5 games, then you have to change it up. You can't keep it going. There's only so much you can support it. But I think the manager has a real tough job there. I'd like to get your Staffy. I'd like to get your thoughts on this, mate, because a lot of people, and a lot of the fan base are going, well, Richarlison's this, Richarlison's that, which is fair enough. I get the perception of it all. I do get it. But what I would say, and this is where I want to get your thoughts on it, Richarlison's very much a arm around the shoulder kind of guy. I think we can agree on that. He needs someone to blow a little bit of smoke up the backside and go in, you're the man. Harry Kane's gone. You're the guy now to take us to the next to the level now without him. He needs a little bit of that. He needs a little bit of you're the man kind of guy. Whether we like it or not, that's just naturally the sort of player he is. He's a very emotionally charged player. So he needs a bit of loving. And he didn't get that under Conte. Whether we like that, whether you like Conte or not, that's just unfortunately his style of it. It's ruthless. It's this, that, and the other. Now, if you were Tottenham manager, how long would you give Richarlison?
I think Spurs fans can't really judge him by last season. Last season, he was injured most of the time. Harry Kane was still there. You know, he didn't get a lot of chances. Even when he was coming on, he was scoring goals that ended up being offside, which is very comical because we all know that he averaged more yellow cards for taking off his jersey than actually the goals standing. So it was more of a comical situation. But there's not a lot to take from last season. We've seen him in the Everton, you know, being their number 1 goal scorer in a worse team where he didn't have a lot of creators. I don't really rate him highly. I always thought that he's like not all that, but he does score goals. And ultimately, if that's what you want from your number 9 this season, until maybe you go and seek another number 9, then it is what it is. I think Maddison being around him will help him a lot because Maddison looked magnificent the first game, and that was against a low block. So imagine when he plays against teams that kind of come out and like he'd leave themselves exposed, which is basically what we're going to do tomorrow. So I think Richarlison will come good. He needs some time to, as you said, he's an emotional player. He needs he needs loving. I'm not going to lie. The one thing pisses him off and he starts crying about. Did you see him talk about the Michael Antonio thing, him and Colin Wilson?
I think things like that. I'm not going to shake his hand. But
he's very emotional.
Do you know what? He is, but do you know what? There's one thing that can benefit him here. And listen, before people jump at me, because I know Richarlison sort of gets a lot of, I wouldn't say hate, he doesn't. He gets a lot of questions on him. I want him to use the Mikel Antonio and Callum Wilson thing to really shut them up. Use that. Some players need to get energy like that they use against. Use it for this benefit. Now his target needs to outscore Wilson and Antonio. Like if I was with Charleston now, in my head I'm going, I have to outscore these two. Whatever they say, I need to now show Tottenham Hotspur and Postecoglou that I'm the man and I'm going to be the one that gets 15 to 20 goals next season or this season now. So I think that's the key bit for me. I think, listen, I want to be one of those. I don't want to be one of those that jumps down his throat just yet. I don't think he's an amazing player, but he's here now. There's nothing. Listen, we're not going to go out there and spend another 60 million quid on a striker. We're not going to. So I think we have to be. I just think we need to go and get there. Irony now with everything going on, he'll go and score a hat trick tomorrow. Watch it. Like he'll just go.
I just have a feeling he will score tomorrow. It's just it would be the most Man United thing. It would be the most Man United thing.
But I think he needs a goal or two. A goal or two tomorrow would be really good for his confidence. And finally, last question from F1 22 is the best. Perchy, how long do we give Ange if this goes poorly? I've said all season. I've said all this season now. You've got to support this manager. Whether we go on a 3, 4, 5 game losing streak, you have to back it because this isn't the club, and the club have a serious point on this one, mate. And I say this now, and I'll let you jump in a second, Staffy. The club can't put out a new era in PR, a new era, and put a brilliant one of those orchestrated PR videos of the players doing this. Like slow looking into the distance kind of thing. A new era begins. And then by November, they sack the manager. You can't do that. Do you know what I mean? It just isn't going to work. Like whether we're like, we want to be reactionary or not. I've said all season, and I stand by my prediction. I don't care where we finish as long as we don't get relegated. As long as we're not in a relegation battle, I don't care where we are. And we're not. We're too good to be in a relegation battle. I'm putting it out there. We're too good
being
for that.
A bit extreme, yeah.
No. But my theory is I don't care necessarily where we finish this season.
Point. You care about
as long as we don't get relegated, which we're not going to. So for me, there's no reason to get rid of this manager. This manager needs time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. We need to start showing a little bit of patience. And Spurs fans hate the P word. They hate the patience word because we've been patient for 22 years under this ownership and won one trophy. True. Correct. But slow down. Under this manager, it's not going to click. The way we operate as a football team, it's not going to operate like that. We still got, once we have to stop, as I said, I always say this, we have to get rid of the Llorises, the Sanchezes, the Dyers, the Ndombeles, the Højbjergs, there's so many of them, the Ben Davises, the Reguilons, all these. I mean, there's about 10 players we still need to get rid of. That's not going to happen today. That's not going to happen before the deadline. Maybe 2 or 3 go. That's going to take another season of complete rebuilding. And it's going to take time. Spurs fans, just take a little bit of a pinch of salt and a little bit of patience because that is the only way we're going to get anywhere near a bit of success. Let me just see. We've got a few more. I thought that's popped up. Yeah, I don't hate Richie, but he's not good enough. Some things just don't work out. Listen, let's see. I think he'll be. Let's see if he has a season where he scores 5 or 6 goals and starts up top all season. You get rid of him at the end of the season, right? I think that's a fair justification. I fear the Levy lovers will turn on Ashley. No, I don't think. He set up the fail purchase. Selling Kane is shocking. We had to sell Kane, mate. I'm sorry. I will stand by this.
Reinvesting that money though.
Selling Harry Kane wasn't the problem. Not reinvesting is the problem. This is where I think Spurs fans are, and big up to you, mate. Big up to you. It's nothing on you here. Selling Harry Kane wasn't the issue. Selling Harry Kane was the right thing to do. Not reinvesting that money is the problem. That's the difference. Let's move on for a bit. Big up to everyone in the chat. If it said, let me know if you have any more questions. Just put a little Q next to it, and we'll get there. Alpinda went in. What are your lineups? Now let's have a go at this. Sorry about that. Savage group chats. Loves a group chat. He does. He does love a group chat. Honestly, he's in millions of them. It just comes up Savage and then different group chat name underneath. It's brilliant. Big up to him. Big up to Savage. What are your lineups? I'll let you go first with Man United. How would your 11 be if you were in charge? You're Ten Hag now. What would your B11 be against Tottenham tomorrow?
Are we talking about my preferred 11 or what I think the manager would do?
No. You're the boss. You're Ten Hag. Who are you picking? And guys in the chat, if you're a Man United or a Spurs fan, put your lineups for your team in there in the bottom as well. I'll let you go first, and I'll do mine.
So in goalkeeper, obviously Onana stays. The back line we have Luke Shaw, Lissandro. I think he's fit to play. He got subbed off last game at halftime for I think it was something with his ankle was bothering him. But there's no news that came out that he's out. So I think he starts. Varane and the right back situation for us is always the dilemma. You know, there's the low FC and there's the Wan-Bissaka FC. I wouldn't say I'm the low FC, but like for the options that we have, I prefer the low over Wan-Bissaka just because I don't think Wan-Bissaka is a good footballer at all going forward. But yet again, we do have Son playing against us, so he might do a job on him. So I'll just stick with Wan-Bissaka because he did come off a good game, and you know, I'll just keep it as it is because there's no need to change it just this game. Then you go into the midfield and the front line, and then all the questions starts getting raised. We actually don't have depth to change the midfield as it stands because we haven't made a signing. We should have had Amrabat in, and we still haven't signed him. And you know, Kobe Mino, who came up from the academy and was gonna pick up minutes this season, is still injured. So we actually don't have anyone but Eriksen to come in. And you know, you can argue Donny van de Beek, but Donny van de Beek doesn't really play for us anymore. So does Eriksen come in? I don't think this game is booked for Eriksen. Eriksen really shies against teams that keep the ball. When we play Arsenal, when we play City, when we play Liverpool, when we play anyone who can dominate the ball a little bit, he just becomes a bystander. He's just a passenger on the pitch, and he absolutely offers nothing. So off the ball, he's 100% a liability. So I can't bring him in a game like this. So as crazy as it sounds, after all the complaining I did about this midfield, I'm not changing that midfield. I keep the midfield the same. I try to change him tactically rather than change the personnel. I think it's easy to change the tactics going into the game. As I said, play a little bit more compact, stay closer to each other. Someone has to drop a little bit deeper. I don't think Mount should be playing that high for 90 minutes, same as Bruno. So I'd change the tactics in terms of midfield, but I wouldn't change the personnel because that's on paper, that's our best personnel. So it would be Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount. And then I would take Garnacho. That's the only change I would make from last game. I would take out Garnacho. I don't think he's ready to start. He got out-muscled by Semedo, and Semedo has very similar attributes to Emerson Real. Emerson Real is better defensively, but they both have that same build, and like I think they would both out-muscle Garnacho. So I would put him on the bench. Throw Rashford back on the left-hand side. I think he can cause trouble against Emerson Royale. That should be the matchup to win us the game. If we can involve him in the game, I think he can bully Emerson Royale if he's on his game. And I would throw in Sancho in the false nine. He's done it all preseason. He's done it well. As I said earlier, that the way to fix this midfield is if you have someone invert either from the fullback position or a false nine. And I think if we do have a false nine that kind of inverts into that midfield and creates that extra body in midfield when we are on possession of the ball, we will keep the ball better. And that actually opened up spaces for the wingers. So Rashford will thrive off, let's say, Sancho dropping deep and drawing out a Romero or Sanchez, whoever's going to be playing. That creates gaps in the back that Rashford can run into. So I would play Sancho, Rashford, and Anthony stays on the right. I know he's been getting a lot of criticism, but he still does give us the best balance on that right-hand side. He needs to up his game. He needs to up his output, but his overall game really does help the team so far. So I really wouldn't take him out. So that would be my 11.
Yeah, listen, I think that makes a lot of sense. If I go with Tottenham, I'd go Vicario. I think he's going to go Royale, Romero, Van der Ven, and then a Doji left back. I'm thinking I think midfield's going to be quite simple. I think it'll be Basuma, Maddison, and Sarr. I'd go Sarr instead of Skip. And now the front three is an important, interesting one. What would I do to what the manager do? The manager, I think, stays with the three. I think the only change we make is Sarr for Skip is the only change we'll make. But for me, I'd go Son on the left, Richarlison down the middle, and Solomon on the right. I think he'll go I would go Manos Solomon. A little bit of energy, like a little bit of unpredictability is I think that what I would go with. The one thing my worry is Son and Kulusevski are so predictable in the final third. They're so easy to mark. All you need to do is tell your fullbacks, keep them out wide. They're going nowhere. They'll play it back and then they'll recycle the ball and you go again and press the recycle. I think Solomon's a good player. I think he's tidy. I think he would have been felt a bit disappointed that he didn't get an opportunity to come on against Brentford because I think he's a good player. I think he's a good signing and he's a good bit of quality there in that what we've got there. Guys and girls in the chat, we're going for another 10 or so minutes. And then we're all heading over to Staffy's channel because it's redirected over there. Guys in the chat, we need 9 more likes. There's 62 of you watching, but only 41 likes. Let's get over to 50 likes. You know the rules. Come on, guys. Let's help each other out. Go over and subscribe to Staffy, of course. And we're heading over there after. So make sure you go and subscribe. Staffy TV. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to me whilst you're here. If you're new here, come over and subscribe. We are at 1,861. We are 139 subs now away from the 2K. Hopefully this weekend we get there. Would be absolutely brilliant. Guys in the chat, what are your thoughts on it, on your team news? Let me see what you've got here. Mark's gone with Vicario, Royale, Van der Ven, Romero, Adoji, Basuma, Maddison, Son, Richarlison, Kulusevski. Very similar to what I went for. I agreed with that. There was someone else. David's gone with Vicky, Adoji, Van der Ven, Romero, Sava at left back. Yeah, why not? Oh, Sava at right back. So, yeah, why not? Put Sava in at right back. Maddison, Basuma, Starboy, Son, Richarlison, Solomon. Yeah. I'm not sure Sava's a good right back, though. I'd play him more of a box-to-box midfielder with his energy. I mean, all of his gym work that he likes to go on about. I mean, I'd play him in midfield. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see how Sava does it right back. Can't be any worse than Emerson Royale. Let's be honest. Joking. I'm joking.
I was going to ask you, Perchi, because I've never watched Solomon before. What's the difference between him and Kulusevski? Because obviously I watch Kulu, but I don't know anything about Solomon.
The one difference with Solomon, I think Kulusevski's a technically better player. Technical ability is a lot better. He's better at passing. He can do more. The one thing he doesn't have, he's a one-trick pony. You know those players that do one thing and you go, I know your game now. Now you've done that. I know how to defend against you now. It's relatively simple. He puts it out on. He plays out on the right, tucks in, and you go. You're going to play it back to. You're going to play it back to your right back in Emerson Royale, and you're going to recycle the ball. Solomon, though, what I saw in pre-season was whether he played on the right or whether he played on the left, took on a player. So he'll take on a player, whether he's on his weak or his strong foot, and he'll try and do something a little bit different. And for me, that is going to be a big difference for this Man United game. Because when you've got better defenders, you're playing against better defenders that are going to know your game very easily. I just get worried that we've got a bit of a one-trick pony in him. And that worries me. That worries me more than anything. Go, mate, go.
I was going to ask, but so when you have Richarlison, wouldn't you want, because I know Kulu is very good on the ball. He's more of a creating winger, more than, looking for his own shot, looking to beat a man. And
Kulu, that is.
Yeah, Kulusevski, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather have him play on the wing to kind of supply the ball for Richarlison? Because you know that Richarlison needs someone to supply the ball for him. He's not that type of striker that creates his own shot and,
you're right. You are right in what you say, mate. You are right. But the problem is when you know what a player's going to do, it's so easy to defend against. I don't know if you play football or not, like when you were younger and stuff like that. But if when your coach, he must be. Let's just put it this way: whoever plays at your right back, if it's Wan-Bissaka or if it's Dalot, let's just say sorry, I mean your left back.
Left
Sorry,
back,
in
Luke Shaw.
Malacia or Luke Shaw,
No,
whoever
Malacia's
plays.
out.
Luke Shaw's probably going to be there. So if I'm Ten Hag, I'm going to Luke. I'm going Luke. All he's going to do is get it onto his left foot, keep him out wide, and make him recycle the ball. And whoever's playing out on your left wing, tell him cover the fullback because he's going to play it back there. Stop him recycling the ball, and then Kulusevski's alienated. It is so easy to coach. You watch him go, you go, like for example, you don't sort of see a bit of trickery and go, do you know what? Knock it past Shaw and go, then get into the penalty box, and then there you go. They can't touch you. They can't touch you now. You're in the penalty box. But you'll watch it. Just when you watch the game tomorrow, just sit and watch a bit of Kula. If he's playing, you'll watch it and you'll know. You'll go, Percy said what he said. He does exactly every single time. He's too easy to play against. And the problem is you need a bit of unpredictability. Solon will offer you that unpredictability out on the right. That's the difference. Yes, not a better player, not a technical better player, but will offer just a little bit more, if that makes sense.
I will tell you, Luke Shaw does tend to struggle sometimes against more physical wingers. I think he's very good at covering technical wingers. Like if your game is more technical than pace and power, he doesn't really struggle with it. I do think he's an intelligent footballer when it comes to defending, but he kind of lacks the physical side. So if Solomon's game is more physical, because as I said, excuse my ignorance, but I haven't watched him before. That's why I wanted you to kind of explain that to me.
That's all right.
If that's a game that he brings, that might worry Luke Shaw a little bit. Also, to add, Rashford playing on that left-hand side doesn't really offer the best coverage. He's not really renowned for tracking back and having the best defensive rate. Like, I'll tell you something, Anthony does that perfectly, and that's one of the reasons that I still have more patience for him, because at least you do the running and you help defensively even when you mess up and you lose the ball. Whereas Rashford, there's a lot of instances where you look at his body language and he doesn't want to track back. He does not want to help the fullback. So it kind of leaves a little bit more work for the midfielders to do, to go cover his and clean his mess, basically. So that might trouble us. I'm as I said, I don't know him that much, but now I'm actually interested to see if he plays. What would that create? If that would that might be the side that you can target us on. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely. And guys in the chat, we're going to go for about 5 or so more minutes in the chat. As I said, then we're going to go straight over the Staffy's channel with a few other guests over there. I believe Alan's over there. You guys from Time Added On, you will know, in the Tottenham side of us. And who else is over there from the Man United side?
It's going to be me and Michael Griggs. So it's going to be
an
interesting battle, 2v2.
2v2, Spurs Man United over on Staffy's channel. Guys, come on. Can we get 4 more likes to get to 50? And let me see, can we get any more subscribers? We're up to 1,861. Let's push the channel, guys. We're nearly there. And look who it is. In the last minutes, it's Mr. Phil P. This is the man that loves Ric Flair, by the way. If you ever there you go. Oh, yeah. Phil, how he loves in Nando's as well, Phil. If he loves a Nando's and he loves.
Let me tell you, I went to England once. And I couldn't wait to have Nando's. Yeah, I went to England.
Were you impressed with the Nando's? And what did you have on it?
I don't remember, honestly, what I had on it. But I'll tell you something. The difference between Nando's and what we have in America. So I wish we had something like Nando's here. The idea of having chicken with any type of sauce or flavor that you want is nothing that you find here. Here we do that with chicken wings. And to have a whole chicken breast or a thigh or whatever, with sides and getting all the sauce that you want or the flavor that you want, I was like, you know what? I might move out here just because of this. I heard of Nando's before I even went there. I'm going into England because obviously I know the culture because of the Premier League. And I was like, you know what? First thing I got to do when I get there is find the nearest Nando's and just go see what's it about. So I'm definitely coming back. So watch out.
He knows about a Nando's. I can't believe we have a Nando's choice. I blame Phil P for rocking up. Guys, 3 more likes, and we're going to run off again in a second. Let's have a final bit. And I want everyone in the chat, there's 50 of you in here, in the chat now. score predictions. I'm going to give you a minute or so to put yours in, and then me and Staff are going to give ours, and then we'll fly through all yours in the chat. What do you think the score prediction will be? Staffy, mate, break me down. You're going first. I'm going to put you in charge. Score prediction tomorrow.
You know what? A lot of people told me that I'm waffling when I said this. They said they're going to clip me. But, you know, for the reasons I explained earlier about your high line, and I don't really worry playing against, like, and that's no disrespect to Spurs. Just the idea of playing against a possession-based team doesn't really worry me because of the way we're set up. I think this game really won't really trouble us that much. So I do think we're going to win 3-1.
3-1 Man United. There you go.
Big score.
We're gonna add that. We're gonna add that quickly to a clip with a bit of Richarlison scoring a hat trick and running off doing a pigeon. We're gonna do that. We'll get that clip up if it happens.
You know how many times I've said this and how many channels. If every channel that I've been on just sends one clip,
what you need to do is everyone needs to clip it and then make a video out of it. That would be great.
That's a whole.
And then you've got to post it on your channel. I think that's the fair bit. I'm going for a Desmond. Down for a Desmond. Do you know what Desmond is?
No, you got to explain what that means.
Do you know Desmond Tutu?
Nope, I don't know what that means.
Come on, honestly. A Desmond Tutu. Tutu I'm going with.
But what does a Desmond mean? Does that mean like a...
No, Desmond Tutu is a guy, it's his name.
Oh, okay.
His name's Desmond Tutu, but you call it, I'm going for a Desmond. So I'm going for another 2-2 draw. Let's see what you got in the chat. See, Luke's gone with a Desmond. Luke's gone with a Desmond. I think we'll concede at least 2 again. Agreed.
Like I just see you guys conceding a lot of goals, Percy. That's the thing. You guys are going to concede a lot of goals until, like,
Rudy, you know, this... Yeah, I agree. Rudy 2's gone a 3-2 Spurs. I like it. Love it. Rudy 2. Love that. Desmond at the lane. Exactly. Another Desmond at the lane from David. Agreed. 2-2. I think we'll lose 3-2. See, there you go. 1-1, 2 drunk. Gosh. 3-1 Spurs, Percy, and we'll be back on if and I'll be back on if we lose. Exactly. 3-1 Spurs. I like that. Big up. Big ups. That's Solomon Veliz, Richarlison. What I mean, that's the most random starting team ever. 4-2 Spurs you've gone with. Cove is in the house. 4-3 is my £5 bet. 7-3 is my usual £1 bet. He loves a 7-3 bet. Big up to Coover in the house. We love Coover. Guys, come on. We're going to go for 2 more minutes quickly, and then we're going to go straight over to Staffy's channel, and you're all coming with us. And so stay in the chat. Can we get one more like? One more like. Come on. I'm watching you all. Hit the like button. Final thoughts, mate. Final thoughts. It's going to be a good game of football. Let's put it that way. Right? I think we're going to say it's going to be a good game of football.
I do agree.
And hopefully we come out of it on the other end with a win. Spurs.
I want to ask you a question. I know it's your channel.
Oh, I like that.
I want to ask you. I got to challenge you a little bit.
It's now Staffy TV's in charge, you see. There you go.
Yeah. We switched it, even though we haven't switched the stream yet to my channel, but I'm taking command before we go. But listen, I like it. I just want to ask now for your perspective, because I spoke about my team, you spoke about your team.
Yeah.
Maybe in the last just 5 minutes, let's talk real quick. What are you watching out for, like in terms of maybe matchups on the pitch? Like, who do you maybe worry from this team, the United team, and maybe like where do you see that you guys can win the game? So give me both.
My worry is Rashford versus Royale. I think that is, if Man United are going to win the game, it's Rashford beating Royale. Look, let's be honest. I'll be frank and honest. All the Spurs lot in here. Look, let's be frank and honest. Rico Henry tore him apart. Whether we want to like it or not, tore him apart. Now, because Rashford is a better football player and he will cause more problems. So that for me is where it's won or lost. I think it will be down that area. But I think what it will be is a big and a good game of football. It's going to be a really good game of football.
And where do you think you can win the game?
I think we can win by the way that we're going to play football. James Maddison is. If we win the game, it's because we've got James Maddison. In my opinion, I'll be honest. I think James Maddison is could be the reason we win or lose the game. He's that good. He was brilliant. He was one of the. If it wasn't for Basuma, Maddison's man of the match by a country mile. but Basuma is going to be so important to Mo. I think Basuma is going to be so important.
Basuma is magnificent, by the way. I watched him, and I think I just want to give a shout out to Basuma because last season was horrible for him. Playing under Antonio Conte was never his best move. Like, I hated when he went to Spurs because I thought that Conte would absolutely kill him. And he actually did. He had a horrific first season. I don't know if he was injured or not, Perchi. Maybe you can correct me on that. But I know he didn't get a lot of game time last season. And even when he did, he had to do a lot of defensive work. He didn't get to flex his best abilities, and his best abilities are on the ball. He's very press resistant. He's very physical. You know, he glides on the pitch with that ball. He looks absolutely attractive with that ball. You know, when the ball is in his feet, he's just like the player that you want to watch. He gave me flashbacks of Pogba when I watched him in the Brentford game. You know, that's how much I rate.
Do you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me very similar, not exactly the same, but like when Kante played football. You know, at Pomp, you go,
and it's
Kante's a player. I'm not saying he's at Kante's level back. That is that era of Kante, but you know when you went, what a player!
But even on the ball, I think on the ball he's better than Kante because Kante's best abilities wasn't running with the ball. He did it, but it wasn't his best attributes. When I watch Basuma, people trying to press him and he just gets out of tight situations like nothing happened. I'm watching that and I'm like, you know what, this guy's an absolute baller, and I really hope he has a good career under Ange because he was magnificent with Brighton, and then he just started off his Spurs career very slowly. And I'm glad that he found his match as a manager. You know, this manager, I think, is going to get the best out of him. And I would be very happy for him, you know. So,
agreed.
You guys should be excited about it for sure.
I agree, mate. We're going to wrap up the show. Just before we do, Daniel Wright in the chat, mate. Mate, you've been so negative. You're saying this is the worst Spurs squad for 10 years. I'll put it out that way. What I will say, we are at the start of a new era, like they want to say, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, I have to disagree. Listen, look at the team we had last season. Every single person told me you can't do it, play this style of football with these players. Postecoglou's been here, 6-7 weeks? And we're playing that style of football. So I think that's very harsh. I'm going to leave it on that, mate. Listen, big up to everyone in the chat, guys. If you're new here and haven't, please subscribe. Please like the video, like the channel, like the stream. And guys, please stay here. We're going straight over to Staffy's channel right now. And we're going to be live there with a few of us over there, as we mentioned earlier. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll leave you on a video or the audio of an absolute legend. See you guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Be there or be square. See you in a bit.
And here's Kane. He sits on Tottenham's loftiest perch, beyond even the great screen.